You're listening to Fanboy Versus with your hosts, JD Church, Chris McFeely, and Chris Triplett.
And you are listening to Fanboy Versus. I am your host, JD. This week, joined by Chris Triplett, Chris McFeely, and Nicole.
Yes.
Yes, we are. Yes, from the random fandom, right? That's
yes. That's me.
So,
you guys listened. Yay.
So this is Fanboy Versus crossovers, as we attempt to see what happens when we bring people from other podcasts into our own, not unlike, say, a classic DC Marvel crossover, which always goes well.
Yeah. Don't blame me if it gets derailed.
Right.
Whoever you invited me.
Hopefully it won't be like that Stark Batman homogenous character they tried to make for the crossover about 20 years ago. But anyway, so here we go. They did in one of the. So there was one of the DC Marvel crossovers.
Are you talking about the Wolverine Batman character? Is that
No, sir. It was Tony Stark, and it was a combination of Tony Stark and Bruce Wayne. So it was like.
Remember that?
Yeah,
one.
I know.
I remember this is an amalgam comic.
Yes, it was one of the amalgams where they were like.
There was Tony Stark and Hal Jordan. There was Hal Stark. There was the Iron Lantern, and there was Bruce Wayne, Agent of Shield, and there was Wolverine and Batman equals Dark Claw.
And Super Soldier, it was Cap and Superman, right?
All of the characters you have just named were combined with other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I could have swore there was one that was like a Tony and Bruce, but anyway.
Well, that might have been Hal Stark, the Iron Lantern.
No, well, that was a different one. Anyway, I don't know. Memory's bad. It always changes over time. But anyway, those crossovers were epic and
Everybody
terrible.
knows what we're talking about.
There's I'm sure there's like 4 people, of which we're of 3 people that will know something that we'll also be talking about in this show, something from Big Time 651. So we'll be talking about that as well. If you follow McFeely and I on Twitter,
ready, folks.
Man, talk about both of us pulling out obscure stuff. But hey, let's get to it.
I love it when you get your nerd on, Chris.
It never stops.
Yeah, pretty much. So hey, there's news. There is some news.
There is news. There's a variety.
So I'll turn over to McFeely. I'm sure you know the news that I want to talk about. So I'm just going to let.
I'm not sure which piece of news you want to talk about. There's a lot of different types of piece of news.
Mm-hmm.
Like
they all sound good.
Yeah, pretty much. So.
Well, I was going to lead with the pictures from X-Men First Class that we saw. It's like the opposite of good.
Yeah.
Now, which pictures are you speaking of?
Well, we saw a couple. The first one we saw was a really pretty, terrible-looking group shot of the entire team.
Oh, that's horrible.
Really? It's got Magneto, Taggart, Emma Frost, Azazel, that's Nightcrawler's dad. You're excused if you don't know who that is, because really, Beast, Havoc, Angel, but not Warren Worthington, Grant Morrison's Angel, Mystique, and Professor X. Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't look good.
Do you have any hope for the?
For the fact that, there's a couple of things that are intriguing, at least, that they're going with, the blue and gold, sort of retro costumes.
That was definitely the first thing I noticed.
The only thing I like about it is that it takes place in the 60s. I think that's really cool.
I don't
understand that either. That's, so retro. That's basically just, we're just going to try and set it in the original.
I don't know what it is. I just would love to see a comic book movie that doesn't take place in modern day. And I know we're getting Cap, and Cap's gonna be in World War II, but this is the X-Men in the '60s, which I think is kind of neat. But other than that, it does look very, very bad.
But then it doesn't.
Remains to be seen if that actually has any impact on the story of the thing either.
And doesn't that make it sort of odd as far as like why some of those characters. I mean, some of those characters showed up way later in the fiction.
Well, but now, to be fair, I mean, that's hardly a criticism you can lay at the feet of this X-Men movie alone.
Yeah.
Are they even
By X-Men 2, they were wheeling out whoever to fill out the...
Right. Well, that's true enough. So.
Yeah, does this movie even need to be tied to the other movies? I mean, could this be like a hard start for a new?
How could it be?
The past movies weren't even to themselves. How could they tie this one to it?
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
that's
this is supposed to be just a fresh thing. But I think the most interesting thing was just the fact that Matthew Vaughn, the director, reacted pretty badly to this image being leaked.
Yeah.
So we got a couple more things shown which weren't bad, but weren't any particularly remarkable. We got to see one of Magneto in his helmet, which almost looked like it was photoshopped on, frankly.
yeah, that it didn't look very good. It looks kind of weird in the. I think it's the juxtaposition of the blue and yellow, and then the helmet. It just doesn't.
Yeah, his helmet should have been blue and yellow or something, you know.
Yeah, it's like those two things don't go together.
It's amazing how hard and fast the X-Men movie franchise did fall with X-Men 3, you know. I have to say like a particular... I'll see it, but I can't say I'm holding out much in the way of hope for this.
No, it definitely seems like even Marvel Studios is sort of like
yeah, because this is out this year, but you would be hard pushed to actually know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't it supposed to come out in November?
I don't even know. I just know it's this year sometime. You see all the push.
November. I think that they're trying
it.
to push it for the American Thanksgiving weekend, if I remember right.
Yeah.
I don't imagine they could bring it as the summer really full of movies that are much higher profile and have better buzz going on than this.
Yeah, everything. I think fan reactions and things have been pretty.
Yeah, it's just across the board. It's just one of those things.
And see if like the fans don't care about it, and I know that general movie audiences isn't really going to care about it because one, it's not got Wolverine in it, so how are you going to get general audiences in it?
Yeah.
January Jones in lingerie would appear to be the answer to that.
Well, which is appealing to a different crowd, I guess.
Appealing to me.
Well, yeah. So
They've got Chris's money.
Yes.
Not that they wouldn't have had it anyway, but
yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, they would have had it anyway.
They got my money for Wolverine Origins because I knew Gambit was in it. That's what. And that really sucked.
What a wasted opportunity that was.
Yeah.
Like shirtless Hugh Jackman didn't put women's bums in seats for that movie.
Right.
I mean, that was a good plus as well.
Yeah, exactly.
It swings both ways. The pendulum swings both ways.
Oh, yeah.
What else did we get there? We got some more images of the Spider-Man costume as well, sticking with the movie news. But it's probably just a stunt man running around in it, so I don't know that there's much we can take away. It's one of them scenarios where it's probably a stunt guy, so it's not the best example. But it's basically the Spider-Man costume with a few extra strips of red on it.
Oh yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, basically.
Oh, one thing though, I wasn't here last week, but yeah, Spider-Man has web shooters. It looks like that is
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could really see his wrist in some of these shots, like from when his arm was swinging back as he was running, and there's
God, that is awesome.
in there.
But we have,
So bad.
but you guys haven't seen him in action, a video of it yet, have we? I haven't seen video of the
No,
shooters yet.
no.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm a little disappointed that his eyes seem to be at the same size as they were in the Raimi movies, because I was saying last week I really wanted big, baggy eyes. But that's a minor complaint.
Could be worse. So
what else going on?
Dark Knight Rises.
What's the other bit of movie news? Yeah,
Cast-
Dark Knight Rises, casting news. Triplet, you want to tell us who it is?
Oh, Anne Hathaway's gonna be Catwoman, and Tom Hardy's gonna be Bane. What the hell?
Yeah.
So yeah, I was pretty fired up when I heard this news. So because Tom Hardy's a good actor. If you haven't seen Inception, and why haven't you? It's an excellent film. He plays the forger.
I have seen Inception, but I don't know which guy he is in Inception.
He's the forger.
He's a thief. He's a thief, Benny.
Well, he's a forger. So he's the guy that he's the one that can make himself look like other people, or is able to.
He looks like Tom Berenger in the
He was that guy, right?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah. So, it encourages me to think that they're going to go with a more comic book style Bane and not the Batman and Robin version.
I hope that they manage to bring us a Bane that's. Well, the thing about Bane is, whenever Bane appears in anything, every video game that's ever featured Bane means that you have to slash the tubes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would rather see a Bane who is not on. I think it's fairly believable that Nolan wouldn't go the Venom route.
I could see it.
Is he drugged?
Well, I mean,
because then we would maybe get a Bane that's a bit closer to Secret Six Bane and the Bane of more recent years, just the really stoic, sinister, scheming Bane, and not I will break you.
I'm so afraid of that scene in the movie, the "I will break you" scene. I don't get that.
Well, to be honest, I think it'd be kind of a. I kind of think I kind of want to see that, honestly. But just as long as I will beat you is not his purpose.
Yeah.
Just as long as I want to beat Batman because is not his purpose.
Yeah.
Because you've already done the villain who does things because in the Joker.
Right.
So yeah. But I can't say I would object to him hoisting him up over his shoulders. I will break you. But then Batman.
Do you think
the tool that stops him before it happens?
But do you think if they do that, it will get a rated R, or a restricted rating, or do you think that'd be like so they show off screen so they can still get that PG-13 rating?
Oh, well, I don't think that they would actually have him break his back, so I think it'd be
No.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do that. Although Nolan has said that this is like the
This is
last.
gonna be the last one. Yeah, just kill him now.
So,
Rising.
but that's the thing is that they didn't, and that's what it got me thinking a lot about, like that Nightfall run, and I still love that Nightfall run, even for maybe some of the issues it may have had, mainly because it had the ability to tell a really interesting long arc story that ended with a hero being completely broken and then didn't kill them. Hey, what a novel idea. You can tell an interesting story with a character that you don't have to kill. Take note. So, and then what's interesting though is like we're talking about Bane, whereas there's a lot of people. Like it would seem to be that the interesting discussion would be more about the Catwoman. But
frankly, I couldn't give much of a toss about Catwoman.
Well,
Because ultimately, the way I can only see this movie breaking down in that Bane will ultimately be the big threat of the film, and then Catwoman will probably do one of her usual brief flip-flops in order to help Batman beat him,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I just think she's overdone. She's an overdone character. Everyone knows about Catwoman. That's why I think it's a good idea they're introducing Bane, because not a whole lot of people know about him.
I don't
Everyone
think
knows
Catwoman can carry films, or
No.
That was true.
mainly,
Yeah.
But is Catwoman done right in movies, though? I mean, really, what was a good use of her in the films? I mean, is it Michelle Pfeiffer? That's probably the closest they ever got,
Yeah.
I mean, but that involved a whole different take on the character at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do something like her to make her even interesting. Even when Batman the Animated Series did their first Catwoman story, sure they had to do it where Red Claw was really the villain and Catwoman just had to help, because Catwoman is just meh. Catwoman is just eye candy at this point, because she's not sinister. You can't.
Because she doesn't want to kill Batman because she wants to have sex with him.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a good.
So do you think Anne Hathaway's eye candy enough for Catwoman?
I think she's slinky enough.
I think she's slinky enough, and I think that, and my thing is, like, the reason I'm not talking about it as much is because I don't have a question that she can carry the role.
Yes, that's very.
And I think that some people are questioning that, which I don't understand. It's like,
whatever, man.
If you're only familiar with Anne Hathaway in, like, whatever the Disney films and stuff, like some of the lighter stuff that she's done, okay, maybe I could see that. But go see Rachel getting married. Go see, she did a really dark film where she ended up like corrupted with drugs in this like Hispanic gang. mean, she's done some dark, gritty
What's that?
work.
I forgot. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
But I mean, she's done some really good acting, and she's done some really good work. So, and she did a little bit of action stuff, I guess, in Get Smart. But I don't have a question that she can carry the role. And I guess the other thing is I'm not terribly concerned about what they do with that character. Like I said, I'm much more interested, again, based on Secret Six, for everything they're going to do with Bane. So that's why I'm interested in that.
Bane's a bit more multifaceted. I mean, that's the irony of Catwoman, given that she was like the original multifaceted villain.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who did actually began to seriously flip-flop back and forth. But you know, I just think there's more potential. There's more different routes to go in. It's like, basically with Catwoman, you can't go any other way but the flip-flopping villainess now at this point. But with Bane, there is various ways to take him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
There's a middle ground. There's a middle ground that I think that'll suit the film best for spectacle versus character. You know.
The only bad thing with Catwoman and Bane is that means that I'll never get my Christopher Nolan film with Scarface and the ventriloquist. Damn.
That would have been epic. I know. Oh man. So,
what else in the news?
Wonder Woman.
Oh yeah, there's the Wonder Woman TV series not dead yet. DC clings desperately to one last vile gasp of air in hopes that Wonder Woman might become culturally irrelevant.
Well, and apparently it's NBC that's picked it up. So I wonder if they're anticipating that the Cape is going to fail miserably, and they still want to have a superhero show.
Yeah, it's not doing too good.
You guys seen it at all?
No.
I saw the end. I saw the end of the last episode. Yeah.
He's got a villain that wears a mask too. It's crazy.
Oh, wow.
Oh boy.
Oh man. Well, hang on there. So,
other details.
There's something about her like being an executive. It's supposed to taking place in L.A. and balancing that with her vigilante career. So I don't know. There's a lot of questions again because of the fluctuations within the Wonder Woman title right now. You know, are they going to go with classic Wonder Woman costume design?
By the time that show hits the air, that storyline will be over. So
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know.
You know what they need to do? They need to totally kill this Wonder Woman idea, and nobody else is going to agree with me on this. But okay, so David E. Kelly's making this. David E. Kelly's made these crime courtroom kind of dramas. Okay, what he does is he needs to make She-Hulk because
yes.
And that's an interesting character when Dan Slott was doing it. And basically just do Dan Slott stuff as a TV show. Hell, I'd watch it every week. It'd be awesome.
Yeah, right.
That's
I'd watch it.
That's a great idea.
Awesome.
They will never do that, Triplet.
They will never do that because no one would watch it, but I would watch it.
I don't know. Hey,
Sidebar news. John Byrne's sensational She-Hulk in trade this April.
Ooh, cool.
Yes.
This Wonder Woman costume, though, they've got that on my beautiful Drawing the Line at $2.99 poster that's now hanging on my wall.
They are pushing that, aren't they?
So, yeah. I don't know.
But then I suppose they really pushed it just because it was news that people paid attention to. Yeah. In the same way that Batwoman kept appearing in posters.
But not in comics, apparently.
But not in comics. Yeah, literally.
Which that got pushed back, didn't it? That came out this week.
News this week. Delayed until, April? Yeah, the new Batwoman series delayed until April. Doing well there, guys. Doing well.
And I'm sure there's other news, but we'll probably need to get reviews. So one more bit, though, that...
wait. What do you got?
Comic Code getting dropped.
Yes, okay, I was gonna say that.
Like a bad habit from like 4 distributors.
Yeah. DC announced they're dropping it to replace it with their own. And a lot of people reported that that just left Bongo, the Simpsons comics publisher, and Archie as the only ones doing it. Turns out Bongo dropped it about a year ago and nobody noticed.
And Archie's dropping it now too, aren't they?
So, frankly, I mean, the code has it's got no relevance anymore. It's like, I was actually a little bit surprised to discover DC actually still submitted books to it. I didn't know they still had it. I've just picked up Tiny Titans next to me, here, and I don't see the code symbol on it anywhere. It's, if it was going to be anywhere, it'd be on a book like that, but...
It was. I think that was the last one of theirs that did. I seem to recall in the article that's what they were saying, but of course they've dropped it now, so they don't have it on there. But if you go back to last month, it should.
No, that would require leaning forward.
Oh, well, we wouldn't want that, sir.
Okay, so I have a little piece of news.
Okay,
It'll be really quick.
that's fine.
I haven't heard anybody talk about this yet, but I found it on one of my movie websites. Apparently, have you guys heard this? Marvel has hired a writer to script a Black Panther movie.
Yeah,
You
I
heard
think I've
this
heard
yet?
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. There's a reason we didn't bring it up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry.
No, it's just we've been underwhelmed by Black Panther as
because
of
it's
late.
the Black Panther.
I'm sorry.
You know.
Yes. Well, no, it's
So is it a Daredevil movie or is it a Black Panther movie?
That's a
That's
good
what I'm
question, and jab.
Yeah, that's true.
You get a question and a jab all in one.
I try to be one of you guys, and I fail.
No, you did. No, it's fine. It's just that, like I said, it's.
Roundabouts here, it's like we just disparage Marvel's inability or refusal to let the Black Panther go because nobody cares.
Now, to be fair, I do like the Black Panther on the Avengers cartoon.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm enjoying him there, but that's it. I don't enjoy him.
Although I
for it.
still think that the Wakanda Claw episode was the most boring of the bunch so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's they're fighting in a jungle, dudes with spears. Oh, that guy's wearing a gorilla. Okay, moving on. Time or something over here now, please. Actually, that reminds me, gotta go look for this week's episode.
Oh no. Oh man. So.
Haven't watched it yet. Shame.
Yeah.
Well, I can't watch
He has
it.
to like torrent it over there.
Gotta go download it.
I missed it. Was it new today?
Yeah,
No,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it is today though. I keep forgetting.
I missed it, so I'll have to catch it somewhere else because dadgummit, I forgot.
Yeah. So. Okay. Well, hey, let's do.
I got one more.
Oh man,
Just
it's so big this week.
It's only a brief. There's a lot of news flying about, but it's only a brief bit of news, which is that just because we love it on the show, new Fantastic Four issue is out this coming week. Yes, and it is the Death issue, the much hyped Death issue, but the thing is, it's actually going to be on sale a day early. You will be able to go into your comic shop on Tuesday and pick this up. Now, I believe that is code speak for we are going to be blowing the Death in the mainstream media on Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah, it's. I wouldn't say it's not that you can go get it. It's that you need to go pick it up on Tuesday.
They're actively. I mean, fair play to Marvel. They are doing as much as they possibly can to stop people being spoiled. The issue is shipping in a sealed bag, so you can't, read it without buying it and opening it. They're bringing it out on Tuesday, but that is got to be code for we're going to blow this wide open as soon as we possibly can to make sure people buy it. Because there's a no overprint policy on this issue as well. So everyone out there listening, if you haven't explicitly ordered a copy of this with your retailer, they will not be able to back order you a copy if they're sold out when you get there. We can't order any more copies of it once the order comes in. There is a no overprint policy on it.
Yeah.
Wait, so you're saying they cannot order this again? I'm just getting this clear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you haven't already ordered it by now, you're probably screwed.
It was a push to get retailers to obviously up their orders so that there would be so that they'll have plenty of copies for their shelves. But
in this economy,
none on the shelf by the time if there's none on the shelf by the time you get there, you're screwed.
Yeah, sorry. Actually, I'm sure y'all's economy.
It's a good thing that
right now, but
I think my comic book owner loves me.
So
couldn't even guarantee.
Yeah, that may not even help at this point.
Darn it!
I mean, I work in a comic shop. I don't work Tuesdays. I'm going into work on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I'm not to work. Not to perform the act of work.
Yeah, if you have this pre-ordered, you need to stop by your shop on Tuesday and pick it up.
Because you can't go on the internet otherwise.
No, you can't look at the internet, Twitter, nothing. And I guarantee you, as soon as I read it and open it, I'm going to put it on Twitter. No, I'm not. I'm kidding.
Please.
No, I wouldn't do that. That's not me. Okay, can we review some comics now? Because I want to talk about
that's all
comics.
the news that I'm aware of.
Excellent.
Week.
So, we'll start with Triplet.
Ooh, what did I get?
That's a good question.
Spider-Man.
Let's see. Oh yeah, definitely Spider-Man.
Well, let's go back. If you're going to do Spider-Man, you got to go back and do.
We got to do 2 issues at once.
651. And then you
oh my goodness, what happened in 651? Whew. Let's see. See, I just read like the newest issue, and now I got to go back and try to remember what happened in the last issue. Okay, so
Well, JD and I are just really making you go back so we can get really nerdy for like 5 minutes.
This is going to be so much fun.
so
See, I don't read Spider-Man. I listen to you guys for my Spider-Man news.
You should read Spider-Man.
Very good.
yeah, it's been good.
I know I probably should, but I have so many comic books on my list. I'm like, really need to put it
Well,
on.
Oh, well, yeah, I saw you say on Facebook there. What did you pick up this week?
I picked up 15, 16 comics. Yeah,
Twice as many as I got.
Yeah.
it was $95 worth.
Whoa.
So
Good lord.
This
Is that
is a
just from this week's stuff, or is that a random selection?
no, it was probably 6 weeks worth of stuff. So.
Oh, well, all right then.
this was like a short week for me too. I didn't get a whole lot.
Yeah, it's not.
You know, I tell you what it is. It's a very concentrated week of good comics, is what it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
Nothing
so
Yeah.
let's see, what was that? 651, Amazing Spider-Man. It was the conclusion to pretty much the first big story with Hobgoblin. And shoot, I'm trying to remember what happened.
Black Cat, Spider-Man breaking
Yeah.
in.
Yeah. I seem to only remember that Montana died. Montana died. Oh my God!
Yeah, that did happen. Yeah.
From the Enforcers. But shoot,
The original Ox died, and he was replaced by somebody who just looked and acted exactly the same. So,
Yeah. But like other than that, I mean, like what? Like let's see. Hobgoblin saved Kingpin and earned his trust completely. I remember that, and secretly the Hobgoblin is just playing both sides. And
Well, Spider-Man he switched the suit from the stealth mode to the audio repulsor mode when he started to fight the Hobgoblin, which was really wacky there for a couple pages because nobody could hear him talk and he couldn't hear anybody. So there's like all these panels where he's talking to himself and can't
that's
figure
right.
out
Yeah,
why
Black Cat
he
was
can't-
getting the crap kicked out of her, and she's calling for help, and he couldn't hear her because he'd done the thing with his suit.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah, because he was fighting Hobgoblin and stuff. So.
Yeah.
But the main, at the ending, basically, Black Cat decides she doesn't want the Avengers role, and but okay, but here we go. McFeely and I have to get uber nerdy here for a minute. So,
just give us a second.
okay, so you're reading along in this issue, and pretty near the beginning, he calls down to someone that's doing the research on the Reverbium, which is kind of awesome, and the guy reports back with his name.
Yes.
His name is Tiberius Stone.
A seemingly unassuming comic book name.
Yeah, I mean, that just seems like a general comic book name. And if you're not a weirdo like us, then
This will mean nothing to you.
It means nothing to you. But immediately, McFeely and I go into, like, this nerd overdrive WTF mode. Because, now...
Wait, hang on, there's
okay, go ahead. You go ahead.
I love how you're building this up, and it's probably going to be nothing, but
No, this is good stuff, dude.
Well, first and foremost, this guy is evidently the 7th guy from Horizon Labs, for starters. Like, that's his relevance here, is that he's the 7th scientist from Horizon Labs. But Tiberius Stone, the first thing JD and I thought of, but it's funny because I
Tell him the other thing. Tell him the other thing first, because the first thing is better.
Well, okay. If you batter into Google for Spider-Man 2099 relevance, check out the other podcast. You'll find that one of his ancestors is listed as Tiberius Stone. So hey, look at that. And presumably that's what's being shot for here. Hey, look, this guy with the bow tie and the spectacles and red hair is Spider-Man 2099's scientific ancestor.
oh my God!
Except,
But...
as JD and I know, Tiberius Stone was created by Frank Thierry about 10 years ago in a really underwhelming run of poor Iron Man stories.
Yes.
Basically, he was the anti-Iron Man. He was to Tony Stark what Hush was to Bruce Wayne. You know, he killed his parents to get their money so he could be like Tony, taking over a company and whatever. Yeah, and that's when he was introduced, and he's appeared very little since. He appeared in a couple of Frank Thierry's first Iron Man story arc, another one after that, and I believe Thierry worked him into a Hercules miniseries he did a year or two later as well.
A wonderful moment in that run, Tony actually walked in on him bending Tony's current girlfriend like over the bed. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, he was taking her from behind.
Yeah, it was awesome.
But it was wonderful in how they attempted to pretend that that's not what was happening by only coloring their heads in flesh tone and the rest of their bodies dark blue.
Yes.
This must have been when I quit reading Iron Man, because I don't remember any of that.
It was when I should have quit reading Iron Man.
Yeah, and yet I kept going. It only got worse from there, too, because then there was that whole run with the weird chick that turned into like a cyborg because of one of Tony's original exosuits.
I don't even remember
drugs. That. Oh man, that was epic.
Yeah, but this after Thierry left, like Mike Grell came on, and Iron Man started fighting the evils of the world instead of supervillains.
Mm-hmm.
And that's almost become Iron Man's thing now.
Yeah.
For years after that, Iron Man just fought the corporate enemy. Up until it was a couple of years ago, Joe Casey did a mini-series called Irredeemable, Irresponsible. There was something, and just the hook of that was like a bunch of Iron Mans, the Living Laser and a new Spy Master and the Ghost got together, and it says Iron Man doesn't think he's good enough to have villains anymore. We'll do something about that. And it wasn't a particularly great miniseries, but I liked the hook behind it anyway, because that was after he'd gone through his period of director, the Secretary of Defense, and everything as well.
Yeah. See, this was all before that.
I get my point.
Yes. So again, we apparently know too much about this.
Yeah. People simply noticed that the correlation between the name Tiberius Stone and Spider-Man 2099's dad, Tyler Stone, and as a consequence speculated that Tiberius Stone could be an ancestor, and somewhere along the way, I'm going to presume it's in a handbook because that's where this sort of stuff happens quietly, Tiberius Stone was made an ancestor of Spider-Man 29 through that connection. And evidently either Slott didn't realize that and has created this Tiberius Stone whole cloth on the assumption that it's something that was mentioned in Spidey 29 and didn't have precedent, or has elected to deliberately ignore that and create a new one that could actually be a Spider-Man character instead of some two-bit, no business Iron Man villain.
And
we tried tweeting him.
We both tried tweeting him to get an answer, and we have yet to get a result. So I don't.
No, there's nothing.
The funny thing is, though, in that it kind of is weird to me because he's usually really good about replying to his stuff off of Twitter. I know he's replied to you before. He's replied to me, and this is the kind of stuff that he's usually pretty good about replying about. So I'm curious as to why he hasn't replied. Is it because he just didn't notice the tweets? Because I tried to send them when I knew he was on Twitter.
Me too.
So it's not like it would have been a time that he would have missed it. So I don't know
what
if...
you have to do is put Tiberius Stone into Google to see that it's not primarily associated with Spider-Man 2099.
Right. So, I mean, yeah, when you pull it up, I mean, the first search stuff is for the Iron Man. But again, who besides like 4 people would like even remember that?
I mean, I thought I didn't know about the Spider-Man 2099 connection till I googled it a bit because I was so mystified at this young, bespectacled, bow-tied,
which looks nothing like the Tiberius Stone again.
That's the important thing because he's like 30-something and blonde with a douchey beard.
Yes, exactly. Oh yeah.
So this guy is probably in 2 panels of the comic. Has nothing to do with the overall story really, and this is what you guys fixated on.
No,
right?
yes, dude, not fixated. We are fixated. I still, it's keeping me up at night. I don't know who this guy is supposed to be.
The character will recur, given the connection.
I hope he turns out to be the new Spot or something, so that your fixation pays off in the end. So he's this major villain, this threat that we just don't know about yet. I hope that actually happens.
It's bound to come back up. I mean, considering the connections this character has, I'm sure he's bound to come back up with him being a former part of Horizons. Did we mention the name of the company that he works for is the New Horizons Labs, right?
Yeah.
I think so.
Someone mentioned that is an anagram for Osborn Lives, I think, or something, or Osborn.
Only if you spell Osborne with a Z.
No, I can't remember. What was it? Osborn something or other. It's an anagram of something. I saw it, but I can't remember what it is. I'll have to pull it back up. Start reviewing the next one. I'll pull that up while you're doing it.
Wow. I feel like I'm in an episode of X-Files, but for comics.
Oh, yes.
How was the rest of the comic?
I mean, the issue was actually really good. I mean, I like the idea of Spider-Man using a gadget suit. And I especially like, as we bridge into the next issue, that he doesn't wear it all the time.
Yeah.
You know, I think that was the thing for me is like, okay, he's got this thing, but he's not going to use it all the time. It's not going to be like other writers have done with heroes, where it's like, oh, we're going to give him this awesome powered suit and change him, and no.
Yeah, I was afraid that was going to happen. I was afraid it's like, this issue, he's got his web diver suit. You know, web diver, diving in the water.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, I was glad that, that's like a one-off thing. Like, eventually, Spidey's going to fight like a big robot or something, and maybe we'll have like a giant robot Spider-Man suit thing or something.
Just wheel out the mecha from the Japanese Spider-Man tokusatsu.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But yeah, as long as they don't do that like every issue, I'm fine with it. Give me like regular Spider-Man every once in a while. But I'm glad you guys fixated on that. So do you want to move on to the?
Yeah, go ahead and go to the current issue.
Well, that's good to know. I had no clue because I've never read an Iron Man comic before. So
we'll take our meds and go over.
So the new issue number 652. Did you guys read it?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
no.
Well, you missed out because guess who's back? Spider Slayers.
Oh yeah.
And the Scorpion.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a bad issue. I mean, it's just that who are these other people? I mean, these other people that Smythe has turned into bug people.
Well, apparently there are other people who have a beef with Jonah because, in fact, even Scorpion asked that. He's like, "What's with the bug girl?" And and
I mean, they're not characters that we've met before, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was like something from like long ago or something that I just didn't catch. But yeah, basically, there's like a Jameson haters club that he forms, and they're gonna go and get revenge. But they don't want to kill him, though, do they? They just kind of want to torture him.
Jonah Jameson haters club.
But to jump back to the beginning of the issue, pretty much it starts off. It looks like his son, John's gonna go on some sort of a shuttle trip to space shoot. What is he going to? He's going.
You can't skip the roller derby part.
Oh yeah, that's the.
Well, I forgot about that.
There's a roller derby part in this book.
Yeah. His current girlfriend does. She does roller derby.
Harley.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she likes roller
topical.
derby. But the interesting thing about it is that like Mary Jane's there at the roller.
Why? I don't
Because they're
understand why.
best friends. They're best friends.
Friends.
Yeah, it's just.
But the interesting thing though is that she's getting jealous.
Yeah, it's just.
We had a big story where it's about like him letting go. And it's like it being okay for him to like date other women, and then what does Dan Slott do? He brings her back in, and she's jealous.
Yeah, well, I imagine Slott is probably, knowing him to be as much of a nerd as he is, I'm sure he's pretty much really unhappy with the current scenario, and will indeed restore it as soon as he can. But that's not happening right now. But he does need to dial back on these little moments.
Yeah.
And it seems a little forced.
I was sort of expecting her to disappear for like a year or something.
Yeah, like that would have been fine. Like why not?
Like after the whole one moment in time story, it's like, well, she's just gonna go do her own thing, and Dan Slott will take over. He'll do big time, and then she'll just kind of like show up when you least expect it, and then shit gets real or something.
Yeah, but now she's been in the middle of this whole thing, and now it's going to be like this. I don't know.
Let's just see how long it takes for Axel Alonso to allow this to be put back in order.
2 weeks.
What that I want to mention,
2 weeks.
2 weeks. What that I want to mention though is the different artist on this issue. I mean,
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
This is Stefano Caselli. He drew the Initiative with Slot, and he did the first batch of issues of Hickman's Secret Warriors as well. I really like him.
Oh,
Yeah, his
this
art's
is
not bad.
beautiful. Loving
I
this.
think he's tweaked his style a little tiny bit. I don't know if it's conscious or if it's deliberate, if he's just trying something, but I think it flows off the back of Humberto Ramos's 3 issues a little stronger. Like the angles are a little sharper, the faces are a little bit pointier. I think the eyes a little bit bigger. Just taking some of the little touches of Humberto's stuff to flow on better. I mean, the idea of this, as I understand it, is that we're going to have 3 rotating artists at 3 issues apiece on Amazing Spidey. It's Marcos Martin after Caselli here, and he's awesome. So looking forward to more of it.
yeah, I didn't know how that was gonna work because I didn't know if we were going back to kind of like rotating artists for stories. You know, like that's because they kind of did that before, but it was more than just artists. It was also writers. Like
Yeah,
you'd have,
I mean, I think it was
Mark
more like that. It was just like whoever was handy drew the issue. That whoever out of the stable of Spidey artists was free drew it.
Yeah.
Whereas this does seem to be the plan. Seems to be 3 on, 3 off, or 3 on, 6 off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, so just like I was saying before, it's kind of centered around John Jameson going on a space mission, and Peter's boss is involved with kind of like the work on the shuttle. Peter's brought in to because basically just so Jonah Jameson knows him, and he doesn't feel safe without somebody kind of him knowing being there to work on the shuttle too. So, Q supervillains, obviously they're going to attack, the shuttle launch because John's there and he's J. Jonah Jameson's son. And, we, kind of a little bit of history about how, Peter, one of his first big things he did, back when he was younger was, save John Jameson again. And, the villains attack. And, well, I guess that's about it. I mean, really,
Yeah, there's a couple of interesting moments in this issue, and I don't know that the overall events of the issue are very breathtaking, but it's certainly the moments that I like in this issue. Maybe not the it's not it's not greater than the sum of its parts, I guess. So like one of the moments that's interesting is after this conversation between like MJ and Carly. Peter's talking about his, whether she's jealous of his friendship with MJ, and she's like, no, it's cool, you're friends, that's whatever. And she makes the comment that she's friends with Spider-Man, which Peter goes, oh, duh, yeah, that's true. And Carly has the wonderful idea that they ought to try to hook MJ and Spider-Man up.
yeah.
Peter causes Peter walking into a door, and that sets up one of my favorite lines in this issue because they're asking him like if he's because he's kind of spaced out for a second, and he says something about how he was out with his girlfriend last night and wasn't paying attention, and then walked into a door with the proportional strength of a normal person. So yeah. But then there's another great moment with later, after all the Spider Slayers and everything start attacking, Peter's trying to save Jonah, and Jonah basically is like, look, I've got security here, they're going to take care of me, but there's no one that can take care of John. You've got to go save him. And Peter is sort of reluctant to do that. He felt, he was having to make a tough choice.
Yeah.
And you can see like that. And there's like an earlier moment where Jonah talks about how it does make him feel more secure to have Peter there, even though,
Even though he doesn't want him to know.
Even though he doesn't want him to know that, it does, make him feel a little bit better. And, but yeah, it's like I said, it's just some of those little moments where you see him having to make a tough choice and everything. But Yeah, I don't know that I mean, it's the first part of a 3 parts.
But,
so what are you gonna?
Yeah, it's like it's set up, for like the next issue and
no
big
Scorpion.
cliffhanger at the end. And we got the Scorpion at the end of it. Yeah.
With big
I
clawy
think
hands.
that's just one of the things that I really like about this issue on the whole is the idea of teaming up the Scorpion and the Spider Slayers, like Jameson's big crimes against humanity. It's I mean, and it's like just like personally, my brother and I, like when we talked about ideas for a potential Spider-Man 4 film, before all this reboot talk started. I can't remember if we've talked about it on the show before, but I used to say like Kraven and the Lizard, do Kraven's Last Hunt with the Lizard, and then my other idea for a potential film was put the Scorpion and the Spider Slayers in it together. Do the Scorpion story, but started off with the Spider Slayers, and then instead of the Scorpion being some kind of like biogenetic mutant, just have him be a cyborg dude wrapped up in armor, link the stories together like that. So like personally it's like, hey, Dan Slott thinks like I think. Brilliant.
Exactly. Oh, and just real quick to go back to the art, when Spidey does his webbing onto the shuttle, man, that looks awesome. How it's just his suit just shaking, and it looks like his body's about to shake apart, and I really like the art on this. I hope they keep this artist. I hope they keep Ramos, and I don't know about the other guy. Haven't seen his art yet, but if it's as good,
You would have seen it on other issues of Spider-Man, all right. He did, I can't even remember what bits he did, but he has worked, he's been one of the artists in...
So he was one of the brain trust, I guess.
Yeah, he's been one of the guys in irregular rotation. I mean, I first saw him on Brian K. Vaughan's Doctor Strange, the Oath miniseries, and I really like him. He's very
I know who you're talking about now, because I've read that.
He did he did those weird little Stan Lee backup 2-page strips that have been in Amazing
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
Okay. So it's gonna be a very different look then. So you'll have like a different look for each, I guess, story is what it's gonna be.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, good stuff. I mean, yeah, good issue. Can't wait to get the next one and just Scorpion's back and he's not Venom. Best news ever.
Surely though we cannot let this issue pass without briefly discussing the other magnificent return that occurs within its pages.
Oh, Power Man!
Power Man.
You gotta be talking about Power Man, right?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
No, you're talking about the Looter.
I'm talking about the Looter. Yeah, there's a backup strip in this issue by Fred Van Lente and Riley Brown, which introduces it's the new Power Man who was introduced during all of the Shadowland stuff that's been going on recently, and he mistakenly attacked a ceremony set up in an issue or two back where Jonah Jameson's giving Spidey the key to the city under duress, courtesy of Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
And Power Man attacks on the mistaken belief, having received a tip-off that the large fake novelty key contains a bomb. But it's not a large fake novelty key, it's just a normal little key, which is stolen by somebody in the chaos that erupts during the fight, and it turns out that the Looter was behind it. In Looter. Fucking brilliant!
And he has this little thing that he says about the key, and he says, and once I unlock what it has kept hidden for 3 centuries. What the hell is he talking about?
Well, he's never made any sense in his life, so I imagine it's not going to unlock anything. This isn't a rock. Feels more like, we'll take it from here, Spider-Man. This great running gag back in the late 90s where the Looter would pop up with the meteor that ejected the gases that gave him his powers, and Spidey would get his hands on the rock after punching the Looter out, and he would always say, this doesn't feel like a rock. Feels more like then somebody would come in and just go, we'll take it from here, Spider-Man, and you never find out what the deal with the rock was. I'm disappointed the Looter's wearing his mask again, though he ditched the mask for most of the 90s, and he just had his big, stupid mop-top head sticking out of his suit.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so that's completely awesome. The friggin' Looter.
Yep.
And is this and then is that New Avengers with...
In the next, it looks like New Avengers are going to be dropping in for some reason or another next issue.
Okay.
Very cool.
Probably not Squirrel Girl, though. Damn.
She's busy. She's a babysitter now.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
God.
I loved your talk on Squirrel Girl. What was it, a few episodes ago? Oh my gosh.
She's amazing.
She's totally fantastic.
God, I'm obsessed with wanting to know her relationship with Wolverine.
Oh,
What's
man.
going there?
We'll never know, you know?
You know what? I would rather not
We'll
know.
never know. It's more fun
I
not to know.
cannot imagine Squirrel Girl as being sexually active.
I imagine it involved a romantic time in the Savage Land at one point.
I don't know. It's more fun not to know.
New Avengers next week. We'll get some Squirrel Girl in.
Yay.
Hopefully.
So, anything else, Triplet?
I also read Thor and Brightest Day, but we're saving Brightest Day for the end.
Saving for Brightest Day. Yep.
Do you want to talk about
I'll tell you what. Let's move on because we gave you. I'm sorry.
I got Thor, so get back to Thor.
Okay.
Okay.
Good deal. Let's go to Nicole.
Oh, well, I read more obscure comics than probably what your listeners.
That's okay. Pick like one or
Nothing
two.
wrong with that. Adds a touch
Okay.
of class.
Well, everyone knows I'm obsessed with Dark Tower, but I won't go over that because I was told I get annoying when I talk about that.
Okay.
But I'll talk about an issue that I picked up Secret 6. I don't know if it came out this week or not. Number 29.
It's probably. I think it was last week's.
That was last week.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I finally read it. This is the first time I read Secret 6, so I don't know a whole lot about it, but this comic did get me interested in reading more about it, so I gotta say I'm in love with Ragdoll.
I knew it.
Can't imagine why.
There's something about him, and you know what? I like this comic because it's got humor, it's got action. So, but the one I want to talk about is the new G.I. Joe. I don't know if anyone else reads Origins. Anyone?
I do.
Oh, sorry.
No.
I know of G.I. Joe. I don't.
Okay. Well, it was a really good series until this comic book. It looked like it was very rushed. I don't know if it's because they were getting ready for Infestation. But it looks like the art was really quickly done and colored in. It kind of looks like storyboard art, you know, like you see in movies when they're trying to tell a story. It's unclear, and they have 7 panels of a guy falling out of an airplane. Not 7 panels, 7 pages.
Hey.
Oh, so, what?
That's an IDW comic.
Yeah.
So they have 7 pages of him falling out of a plane, and there's probably 3 panels where there's slight dialogue. It was such a disappointment because they're just trying to get Cobra all together finally, and yeah, this comic was a big disappointment until the last page. It's like, ugh. Anyways, so that was
What
my.
last page?
It's
You can tell. It's spoilers, listeners. You can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you actually see all the Cobra members getting together,
All right.
so you know shit's gonna hit the fan here soon. So
Now, Origins. Is that set before the current ongoing GI Joe series, or I guess is it like GI Joe prequel? Is that the idea of it? Is it shows how
Yeah.
the team Cobra came together? Yeah.
it's kind of like spotlights. So like each issue focuses on a character, and they continue on with the story. But so like the start of this one before the last trade, I think they started off with Zartan. That was really good, but now they're starting to get where it actually merges in with the main comic book line. So, and let's see what else. I got tons of comic books this week, but I don't know what came out because, like I said,
You didn't read GI Joe Cobra this week, then, did you?
no, I didn't.
Because I mean, that seems to
have-
be. Is it on your pile to read? Am I going to risk spoiling it if I
Yes,
say anything?
no, go ahead. You can spoil it all you want. I'll still read it.
Well,
Yeah, I
it's
have-
just. Seems to be where the big GI Joe news came out, to the point that real websites were actually reporting on the news this week.
Oh, I think I know what this is. I think I've heard.
Yeah,
this.
Cobra Commander got his brains blown out in this week's issue of Cobra.
Yeah.
Whoa. Really?
yeah.
Yeah, really.
Yes,
Well,
I've already saw it.
Yeah, so that happened. That was a thing, and that was a lot of it. And I'm gonna have to pick that up in trade or something, because I didn't realize he was still writing it. Christos Gage has been writing that.
Ooh.
Christos Gage, he of Avengers: The Initiative and Avengers Academy. He is good.
So
And, I believe this was his last issue.
Is the Cobra book, is that a monthly or is that a mini or what is
It
that?
was a mini. It started off as a mini, and then it just Mike Costa did the mini, and apparently, but the only thing Mike Costa's ever done that actually received praise because it's got enough praise that it became was revised and it's an ongoing right now. You know, as far as I understand. But, well, actually, no. I think it might be over now with this issue, and then this there's a Cobra Civil War miniseries or something is coming up now. To talk about the fight for leadership now at this point.
Huh.
But I haven't read it. I just read the news. So that was something that happened this week.
Yeah, I suggest if you can pick up the Origins trades because they
I have
really
heard that Origins is very good.
It is because you get a whole different feeling for the characters. Do you watch Renegades at all?
I do indeed.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Scarlet in the comic books is kind of like Scarlet in that in that cartoon. She's more the leader, you know, kind of strong-headed. She's not like the G1 Scarlet that you know. So, but yeah.
Have we ever talked about Renegades on this show? Because I think that'd be cool to talk about one day if you guys ever feel like it. It's kind of comic book related.
Yeah, I'll talk about it at some point.
I'm sure we could mention it.
We could probably tie it in somehow. I don't know. Continue. I'm sorry.
I love the whole G.I. Joe storyline, and it's getting really good. Like I said, this is the biggest out of the whole. Where is it? Where did I just put it? Lampin and Del Erda.
Is it David Lapham?
David Lappin, yeah. Writer.
David Lapham, he's pretty cool. Actually, this David Lapham of 100 Bullets for our more discerning listeners.
But for some reason, yeah, this was just. I think what ticked me off was 7 pages of just a man falling out of a plane.
That's pretty bad.
Wow.
7 pages.
You know,
sorry, not 100 bullets. Stray bullets. Sorry, not 100 bullets. Stray bullets.
I know it's IDW, so I just sort of that it doesn't. It's like that. Oh, it's like okay.
Yeah. But we'll all be talking about Infestation next week, right?
Yeah, won't we?
We're gonna get
That'd
that.
be awesome.
Man, I'm gonna get that.
I don't know about that one.
You feel free to talk about it.
I'll live through you.
It's Abner and Lanny.
It's zombies. Come on.
I don't care.
I see, but I'm a fan of. I'm a zombie fan. You know.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are. So I just feel like it's kind of late.
Well, it does seem a little late to the zombie party. It's true.
Yeah.
But it's
But
Abner and Lanning.
But that is the crossover, isn't it? It's like the crossover between like Star Trek, Ghostbusters, Transformers,
Yeah.
all that. So that is awesome because you're gonna have Star Trek and Ghostbusters and Transformers.
The word is
that
they're
makes
probably
sense.
not really. They're probably not really going to be teaming up. Like it's just going to be a
Damn it!
thing that related universes. But
Well, see, on the back of this Origins book, it actually has this huge ad for Infestation, and it just says Zombie versus Star Trek, Zombies versus Transformers, Zombies versus G.I. Joe. So they're not going to be crossing over. It's just going to be zombies against stuff.
So I'm not gonna get my transformable Ecto-1 fighting a zombie cliff jumper. What the heck?
What we're saying is
maybe in the final issue.
this is not Metal Hawk Guy's wet dream of a comic book series. So.
Yeah, that's what when they first announced it. You know, they were going to have the Infestation. I was like, this is going to be really. I wanted to see how they were going to cross over all 5 of them, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen.
I think maybe we could expect a little something in the bookend issue, the final issue of the thing. Because I mean, the way this is working for listeners is the issue 1 is out next week, and then that's it. And then in February, it's Transformers 1 and 2 and Star Trek 1 and 2, isolated miniseries, 2 issues. And then in March, it's G.I. Joe and Ghostbusters 1 and 2. Yeah, and then in April, it's Infestation number 2, which is the final issue, the bookend of the thing. And
So do you think that's when they're going to combine them all?
if they're going to do it, I say that's when it's going to happen.
So
Maybe
the
just for like the last double-page spread or something.
But
Man, that'd be awesome.
that'd still be cool. I'll buy it just for that page, that 2 page spread. So
It's got pretty strong pedigree of creator on it too. It's being done by Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning, who have been shepherding Marvel's cosmic universe since Infestation, and have received quite a bit of praise for their work on Nova and Guardians of the Galaxy. So, yeah, I think it's going to be good. Well, it's going to be good. And I can't remember if they're writing all the minis or not. That's the thing. They're definitely writing the Transformers one, and Nick Roach is drawing that, so even better. And then Abnett and Lanning are sticking around afterwards, and they're writing the new Galvatron-centric Heart of Darkness miniseries that's going to come after Infestation as well. Yes, so there's things worth paying attention to here happening over in IDW Transformers for once in a blue moon.
So
Cool.
So we should all get it and talk about it next week.
that sounds good. I'm excited. But oh well.
Okay.
What do I know?
All right, and any other?
I picked up the new Dungeons and Dragons because there's nothing geekier than a girl that reads comics and plays Dungeons and Dragons than a girl that reads comic books about Dungeons and Dragons. So,
Awesome on all accounts. So, see, we don't have enough tabletop gamers on this show, so.
It's one of those things that I don't admit to a whole lot that I play Dungeons and Dragons because that's like the height of ultimate geekdom, I think. But if you are into tabletop gaming, if you're into Dungeons and Dragons, this is a really good comic. Basically, this whole book is just a battle, and if you've played, it basically feels like you're playing the game. You pretty much. I mean, it's just one big action-packed comic. There's really not a whole lot that goes down besides a huge fight. But, needless to say, it's still good. It's a new comic book series. This is only the second issue out of the whole series, so I'm going to give it a couple more issues to see if I'll keep up with it. But.
Yeah, I'm always a little weird about like D&D fiction and stuff because for me it's always like the game is what I really want, and you know, it's like the fiction in the world. It's a kind of interesting, but you know, it's like.
See, that's the thing. You read this and you're just like, dang it, I should be playing this because it's what it feels like.
Exactly.
It feels like you're just a viewer watching a tabletop game right now.
Right, and I want to play it.
Yeah, but they've introduced, you know, some new characters I don't think were in the previous comics. So I mean, they've got the Tiefling. So, that was pretty cool. She beats up her sister. And, yeah. If you guys like girl-on-girl action, you know, fight, there you go.
Who does?
Oh, a fight. Oh.
Yeah, girl-on-girl fight.
Yeah. Oh, girl-on-girl fight. No,
Well,
I dropped Birds of Prey.
So someone loses their top.
Oh, well, that's important.
No.
Yes,
See,
let's get more comics that objectify women. That's, you know, what we need.
No, like I said, that's a new comic book series. I've just barely started Secret Six, which I'm definitely going to get into. And
You should definitely pick up this week The Cats in the Cradle trade paperback that just came out this week, and that's what got some of these guys reading Secret Six.
Oh yeah.
I've heard a lot about that one. So you guys talked about that last week, didn't you?
Probably, but it deserves mentioning again.
Yeah, we need to talk about it for a while, because
All the other ones I picked up were Transformers ones, and you guys already.
this is how much I like that. I was actually trying to get one of the guys that works at my shop to buy it, so I'm actually selling it to him. So, yeah, it's good stuff.
It's a horrible comic about horrible people doing horrible things to one another with intentions that are not entirely horrible.
And it's wonderful.
See, unfortunately, like I said, I don't read like mainstream comics, so I don't have a whole lot.
It's not mainstream.
Not really. I mean, it's not like it's Superman or Batman or something.
Yeah, see, like I said, I don't read a whole lot of mainstream stuff, so it's kind of weird for me to try to talk to you guys about it. But
Don't worry, we'll get you fixed.
Yep.
yeah,
We'll bring your
I
ass.
tell people if you want to read The Dark Tower, this is the series to start with. It just came out last month, the new series, because you're finally getting back into the Stephen King
This
storyline.
is Little Sisters of Illyria, right?
Yeah.
Hooray!
Right on.
I have a customer asking me this week about they want to get into the Stephen King stuff. They want to start following the trades, and I'm like,
Yeah.
damn, I wish I had Nicole handy.
The first
No
trade is
idea
awesome.
what they're called.
The first trade is awesome, but if they haven't read it, this last series, The Little Sisters of Ulysses, is probably the best way to start off. It's kind of like a reboot, but not meant to be a reboot. Most of the main characters are gone except for a couple, and it's like a whole new storyline. But
Awesome.
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
I didn't realize they'd been telling original stories for that long. I thought I just assumed they were all adaptations.
Well, the first trade is basically Stephen King's doing, and then they had some
Well,
other
it's
writers.
comfortable.
Yeah. So, but now they're back onto the Stephen King storyline. So.
Awesome.
Yep.
So, well, thank you. I only have one issue, so I'm going to mention it, and then McFeely will go with you, and then we'll talk Brightest Day, because, hey, we're, time's ticking away here. I've got to...
Well, we're not doing too bad.
No, we're doing really good. So, awesome. Okay, so the only thing that I read that isn't a part of the things that we also talked about is one of my favorite tongue-in-cheek comics right now, which is Lantern Corps 56. The arc's not really grabbing me for this particular story. This is basically the Bedard's chance to write Sinestro. And, yeah, it's not awesome.
Is this still the Weaponer story?
Yes.
Because I'm behind on course. I have no idea what's going on
this is
in
still
it.
the Weaponer storyline. So,
God, this has been going for like 4 issues, hasn't it?
well, it's crossed over in a couple of different issues because he was really busy in Green Lantern, and they had to pull him out of Green Lantern to do this story. And I'm like, why? But
Because
so the whole deal with the Weaponer is the guy that made Sinestro's ring, and he's pissed off because that started this whole chain of events that like destroyed his family and planet and everything. And so he wants revenge on Sinestro, so he kidnaps Sinestro's daughter, who's a Green Lantern, and then that pissed off Kyle and a bunch of other Green Lanterns who showed up to try to help her, and then the Weaponer kicked their ass because he's the new powerful semi-hero villain guy, but he has some sort of White Lantern-powered shield net thing that transforms his hammer into a weapon that's proportional to the enemy he's fighting. How he factors into that as being the Weaponer, I don't know, but whatever. Now, the thing is, at the beginning of this, it took Sinestro like 3 issues of 4 different comics, or 4 different issues of 3 different comics, to finally decide that he was actually going to do something about this. Because he kept Kyle was trying to tell him that this was a big deal, and he kept blowing him off. And he did it in, like, Green Lantern Corps, and this, and somewhere else. And then for some reason he got wild hair up his ass, and decided it pissed him off. So he goes back to to Korgar, and rouses his troops of the Sinestro Corps to send them off to Quard to fight the Weaponer, which is where we left off last week as the entire, Sinestro Corps shows up. And they basically say, look, we're going to wipe this place out, and yeah, there's Green Lanterns here, and they would be wise just to not get in our way. So the Green Lanterns, they have this whole truce right now, so they can't fight each other, really. So they decide to just try to protect everybody, and they put up shields, and it's basically a standoff for most of the comic. But there's just a couple of things. Like they figure out that if they don't use their rings, they can sort of beat up on the Yellow Lantern people, because that isn't, breaking the truce, because that's what Kyle and Sinestro did a few issues ago. Why that is, I don't know. But the Sinestro finally, it looks like that he was just going to send his army in, and Sinestro finally shows up. So you start to finally see Sinestro and the Weaponer facing off, and Sinestro spends most of the issue just being awesome, or trying to be. And it concludes with basically all of the people of Quard have grabbed all these weapons that the Weaponer has been hoarding for years, and John Stewart in this full high-tech armor with this huge gun. And apparently it's going to be on next issue, and I hope it's on next issue, because this issue had a lot of nothing. But yeah, like I said, it's basically just an excuse, I think, for the writer to get to write Sinestro. And it's not that it was bad. It just wasn't captivating. And
You know what would make
Emerald Warriors.
You know what would make Korra better if Emerald Warriors wasn't around and Gagner and all those characters were back.
Hey, if
That
it was
would make
actually
Korra better.
if it was actually like the Green Lantern Corps instead of like like the core characters. I mean, I guess you've got Kyle and John, but John doesn't do much but sort of be cool.
Yeah.
I mean,
And Kyle's not awesome unless he's got an awesome rider.
yeah, and he's been kind of a bitch in this run.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's like, oh, they stole my girlfriend. I gotta go get her. Aw, and then he screws that up. So, I don't know. I was a bit underwhelmed. I was a little disappointed, but, I keep reading it for reasons I don't know. So.
Just like that other book, right?
Pretty much most of what I read, I've started to get to the point where it's like, I don't know why I'm reading some of these things.
Well, you got to read the Green Lantern books. You got the War of the Green Lanterns.
I know that's the thing. Is like there's all this crossover event stuff that's coming up that I've got to be ready for, and I don't know what's going to be important later. So I've got to read it now because you never know.
I thought it was the War of the Green Lanterns.
In
That's just
10 years, this weaponer dude could be important. He might show up in like an obscure Batman comic,
Now wait, how many different Green Lantern books are out there right now?
Ooh, that's a good question.
That's the thing.
There's at least 3. Well, it depends on what you mean by Green Lantern. I mean,
you got the Green Lantern Corps, right?
You've got Green Lantern. You've got Green Lantern Corps. You've got Emerald Warriors.
Yeah.
You could consider Brightest Day because that typically involves some Green Lantern stories. Although I guess that's more proximal.
Coming soon is a Red Lantern book.
Yep, there's a Red Lantern book coming out.
Yep.
So.
That's when I get overwhelmed. Is like when you have to read all the series just to get the whole storyline. I hate that.
I don't.
But generally speaking, that hasn't been a requirement of the Lantern books recently, but it is going to turn into that whenever War of the Green Lanterns starts.
God, we got War of the Green Lanterns.
That's basically going to be part 1 in Lantern, part 2 in Core, part 3 in Warriors, part 4 in Lantern, and round she
See,
goes.
I've just recently got into Green Lantern, just so I know what to expect when the movie comes out. So, I mean, I'm not
Ryan
reading it
Reynolds,
for...
that's what you can expect.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so...
Somebody did a video where they put like a Deadpool mask over Ryan Reynolds' face.
I saw that.
It's hilarious.
I just recently started getting to Green Lantern like a year ago, so it's kind of confusing for me trying to get caught up with everything.
Yeah,
I recommend you a list of trades to follow through on.
Well, I mean, I've got my trade of Blackest Night.
Yeah, but we need to get you further back than that.
Yeah.
You got to start with Rebirth is what you need to get a hold of. Green Lantern Rebirth will reintroduce you to
Sinestro Core War. Oh my god.
Yes. Core War.
Rebirth, Sinestro Core War, Rage of the Red Lanterns, Agent Orange, then Blackest Night.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of other things dot in there, but nothing that's intrinsic
Blackest
to
Night
the
is what got me into the whole Green Lantern thing. That was a really good storyline.
A few people.
Yeah, great storyline.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Nope, you're fine. So that's me. So McFeely, what you got, sir?
I'm going to open with Thor so we can get back to what Triple was talking about.
Damn right you're going to open with Thor.
Odin just be coming in lash down at you like a motherfucker.
Yes.
But you know you've picked up a good, just really rich, high myth comic when the first lines of dialogue are Odin sitting on his throne, blood-stained sword in hand, saying, "It was the time before time, in the dying days of the long now that ended with the birth of everything."
I hope the movie starts just like this. Yeah!
Oh, man.
With McFeely doing the dialogue?
Have a wide range of Asgardian accents in my repertoire. But it basically kicks off with Odin telling the story of how he and his brothers and his father found the seed that was planted and became the world tree. Now, of course, this doesn't really make any sense within the grand scope of Marvel continuity. But some little fairy quietly says on the next page, It's a myth. Just go with it.
Yeah, like that.
That is all you need to worry about when it comes to myths and all the different pantheons in the Marvel Universe. Just go with it. Ragnarok was established by Roy Thomas in the late 70s to be cyclical anyway, which is how all the myths can be true. But basically, Odin has been aware of these world eaters, these nasty red monster enemies that have been vexing the book for the last couple of months since the moment that all the worlds came into being. They are the shadows cast by the light of creation. And now that Asgard is not where it was, the shadows are encroaching. Then Loki offers the point that since they're not there anymore, why don't they just let them have the nothing? And Odin just rips that kid a new one.
Yeah. Odin's not a nice guy at all.
Odin isn't a nice guy. That's the thing. He's really not. I mean, he's softened in his older years, but he's really peeved because essentially he's been pulled back from the beyond after he explicitly told Thor he didn't want to be during Straczynski's run. So he's really got a chip on his shoulder at the minute to go along with his raven.
Yeah, I like his line though. I like it where Thor basically says, you stupid, useless old man. And he's just kind of tearing into him, and Odin just comes back and says, told you I wanted peace, did I not? Told you to leave me in my sleep, my retirement, and you didn't listen! You had it all, you won, Thor, you had everything. And they just have that big old thing right there. That's awesome.
No me, no Loki, free of lies and eons of suffering, but you couldn't stand the quiet, could you, boy? It's like the idea that Thor can't bear. Because I mean, this is the thing. Loki, Odin's been dead for over a decade at this point. There are conceivably people reading Thor at this point who have never known Odin.
Yeah.
Odin has been dead quite a long time, and I mean, it's no great surprise to see him back being in the mouth of the movie and to be back in his really old, grumpy, kick Thor out of Asgard, turn him into human phase, because that's where the film is going to go. But
no, is this the first of a series? Sorry to interrupt.
No, this is part 4 of Matt Fraction's current run on the storyline, where the Asgardian gods have basically been trying to get their crap together on Earth, while these mysterious creatures, the World Eaters, have eaten their way in from the dying worlds on the other side of reality to try and take up the empty space that exists after Asgard was brought to Earth a few years back. So like that part of the 9 worlds on the world tree is just, there's nothingness there. And these guys have come to claim it for their own.
I really haven't heard anything about Thor until recently. Which is no surprise.
No, that's quite understandable. I mean, Straczynski's Thor is a very good starting point for trying to get into Thor. There's 3 volumes of that, although the irony is that the story really doesn't end because he had one of his patented straps and went off the book.
Yeah.
And, do you know, that's another bit of news, actually, just to suspend the review for a second. That was a bit of news we got this week out of the solicitations for April. I'm not happy about it, but I will buy the... Anyway, it's the same thing it's the same thing that happened with Iron Man whenever the Iron Man movie came out, which is that the pre-existing Thor title is going to get turned into something else, and a new Thor #1 is going to come out. The same way they turned Iron Man Director of S.H.I.E.L.D. into a War Machine book, which was
What?
Calm down. Calm down. And it was then promptly cancelled a couple of months later, and they launched the new Invincible Iron Man #1 series. Well, what's going to happen here is we're going to get Mighty Thor #1 by Fraction and Ferry, the same creative team. So basically what's happening in this will carry on into the Mighty Thor. And Thor is turning back into Journey into Mystery. And I'm not...
keeping the numbering, or is it...
Yes, they're keeping the numbering. It's going to be issue 622 of Journey into Mystery, which is really just giving Journey into Mystery its numbers back.
Mm-hmm.
Because Thor was Journey into Mystery originally back in the 60s, and then they changed it into Thor, and it took its numbering. But it's going to be written by Kieran Gillen.
What's it going to be about? Is it going to be Thor, or is it going to be...
It is going to be about Thor. It's going to be about Thor and shit like that there. It's going to be written by Kieran Gillen,
so we could potentially be getting 2 good Thor books.
Yeah, that's it.
Wow.
Okay, that's not so bad then.
Yeah.
I object to it on principle, but I can't object to the strength of the creator.
Yeah.
I don't even remember who's drawing it, but it's like, ooh, Kieran Gillen wrote some of the best Thor in recent memory. I'm going to buy that.
I hope Marvel remembers the $2.99 pledge, because I don't want this to be $4.
No, it is going to be $4.
Well,
Damn
of
it.
course it is. It's a mini, all right? It's a 24 issue mini.
Exactly.
Well, we'll have to see how it goes. I mean, they didn't do anything for Iron Man, you know. The numbers were... Invincible Iron Man sold really well, and then Iron Man Thingy of S.H.I.E.L.D. got cancelled a couple of issues later. They tried launching a new War Machine series off the back of it. It failed within a year. So we'll get back to maybe, Thor 650 maybe, I would say at the latest. But I don't want to be too pessimistic because if Kieran Gillen's writing it is going to be good. So... Anyway, back to the comic.
I like her.
Loki has a bit of a snit whenever Odin shouts at him and steals that scientist's car.
Awesome. I like the new Loki.
Yeah, I'm... the idea that Thor has brought Loki back as a child because that was the form that he loved him in as a brother. I like the idea behind it. It's there's none of the evil. He is truly just the god of mischief again, you know.
Yeah.
There's no evil in him. But while that's happening and while Odin is pouting and Thor's dealing with that, Balder and Tyr, who I don't know if Fraction has deliberately chosen to use Tyr after Gillen put the spotlight on him during his brief run, but they head off into the void that was Asgard. No, where they go to Svartalfheim, and they face down the World Eaters. And an unholy battle ensues that leaves them both dead.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, Balder and Tyr both deadified.
Okay, so if Balder is dead, does that mean that something crazy is going to happen now because he's dead? Isn't that the way it works?
Balder dying does signify the coming of Ragnarok.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And with this final great atrocity, the World Eaters decide it is time for them to bring themselves upon the god of Asgard. And as Thor and Loki return to the city, the sky cracks above it.
Yeah, shit's gonna get real.
Shit got real in this issue.
Wow.
I would say the first 3 issues of Fractions 1 was really about 2 comics worth of material overall, but shit got real.
Oh my god! One thing you overlooked is the fight that Balder and Tyr had with those guys. Dude, they're getting their heads lopped off, and there's guts coming out everywhere. Those dudes didn't go down without a fight.
Well,
So casually.
I mean, Tyr's the god of war, man. I mean,
I know.
Yeah.
he's one-handed. He's still more badass than a lot of people's.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's he gets a great line in this one. They're standing there just on the rainbow bridge. I love the depiction of the rainbow bridge in this as well, because it's not just like a straight flowing rainbow. It's like an uneven, winding walkway of light. It's just it's just and they're standing they're discussing their tactics, and Balder's saying they should fight with the mountains to their back, and Tyr's like, no, just look, and it's like the blood is already falling from the skies as the portal opens to herald the coming of the World Eaters, and then he just says, so much for the sea, god of war. Well, it beats being bored to death. Let us show them what awaits beyond this place. And then the World Eaters just come falling out of the sky, and they're roaring, die! Die for the Thanathon! And Tyr just looks up at them and goes, you first. Die for Odin! Die for Asgard!
Yeah, this comic was so freaking awesome, and the art is still so freaking gorgeous. Oh my god.
That's where I am.
Well, guess what? You just sold me on it. Damn you guys! I don't need any more comic books on my list.
This is what we're here for.
I know, but
Definitely worth getting into at the minute. I mean, if you want to try and start fresh on Thor, I recommend seeking out the Straczynski trade paperbacks. But I think you could probably jump in on Fractions run.
see, I never was into Thor, the comic book character. I know his mythology, and it sounds pretty good.
Well, don't hold that too highly whenever it comes to dealing with.
I know, but I'm just saying. I ever since I started watching Avengers, I started to get Thor, and I'm like, oh, he's an interesting character. You guys just sold me again.
The mythology of Thor.
That's what we do here on Fanboy Versus. It's all about convincing people to buy more comics.
That's our job. I always feel good when I know I have convinced somebody to go out and read something else. But I'm not even joking. I genuinely, I'm happy if I know somebody's going to go out and try something new that is
It's
a good book.
because of you. I added Tiny Titans to my list last week.
Did you read Tiny Titans this week?
No, I did. I just added it to my pull list.
Well, there was a new issue out this week, which is what I'm actually about to speak about now.
I'll probably be getting it tomorrow then.
Well, I shall hold off on any detailed spoilers.
Oh, you can spoil it away. I'll still read it.
This is kind of a surprisingly non-standard Tiny Titans, in that it has a complete story from start to finish, instead of one that is broken up into smaller vignettes. I mean, usually an issue of Tiny Titans does tell like a story from start to finish, but it's usually broken up into separate little short stories that, you know, feature things like that are happening off to the sides or whatever. But no, this is just a full like 20-page from start to finish story in which Terra takes Hotspot, Kid Devil, and Beast Boy underground. Hotspot and Kid Devil just meet each other and spend a full page showing off how they can turn their heads on fire for fun. And Terra comes along, you know, and they're like, "Can you imagine anything hotter?" Their heads go on fire, and she's like, "Yeah, the core of the Earth is hotter." And she's just filled with magma, and there's lava everywhere, and they want to go there. And she's like, "Yeah, I think I can take it there." So she just rips this giant chunk out of the Earth. And the biggest laugh the whole thing got out of me was that, "Jump on these rocks! We can ride them too!" And then in the next panel, she just looks directly at the audience and goes, "The center of the Earth!" Like some kind of dramatic movie. He tags along for a ride, and he doesn't handle the trip very well, but they head down into the depths of the Earth, and Etrigan lives down there, so they hang out with him, and he spends the whole issue making really awkward rhymes, and there are dinosaurs and plants and cows that go on fire.
What? Wow.
Yeah, so it's a little different for an issue of Tiny Titans, but I got some good, big, strong laughs out of it as well. I always recommend Tiny Titans, so that's really the only reason I'm bringing that up in passing, because Etrigan was in it. The one that I should probably devote attentions to is Avengers Academy this week, because there's a good standalone issue of Academy as well. I think represents, again, most of the really great strengths of Academy. This issue involves the recruits finding a tape of an event that occurred in New Avengers under Bendis's run, in which the Hood teleported into Tigra's apartment, beat her. There was a bunch of other villains as well. They all ganged up, beat her up, and warned her, you know, they knew who she was, they knew who her family was, they would kill them, you know, if superheroes... It was filmed as a message that this is what happened, this is what would happen to superheroes if they stood in the Hood's way. Now, it seemed like Tigra had put most of this behind her by being the bigger woman whenever the Hood was humbled before her at the end of Avengers the Initiative. But this is sort of picking open old wounds. As it turns out, someone somewhere has found this and leaked it to the internet. And although they managed to get it taken down, we all know what happens. You know, you can't put the genie back in the bottle whenever something gets leaked out on the internet, and the students all see it. So the central conflict of the issue is Tigra trying to be the bigger woman and just let it be, but the students being unable to look at it that way. And of course, we know that the thing about Avengers Academy is that these students have been taken into the Academy. It's promising, but because they are the ones who have the highest potential of going crackers and turning into villains. So, you know, we see in this issue Reptile, I should say, and Metal, and who's the other one didn't do it? Was it Finesse? Can't remember now. Yeah, Reptile, Metal, and Finesse don't want to involve themselves with it. But this is where it gets interesting, because Veil, I've said it before, Veil was the POV character from the very first issue who seemed genuinely sympathetic and who has thus far not really exhibited any traits of somebody who could become a villain. Everyone else you could see how they are going to go wrong. Finesse, Stryker, and Hazmat in particular are very unbalanced individuals, but you could never really see how Veil could go bad. We got a little hint of it last issue, wherever she overheard Hank Pym talking about the ultimate fate that awaits the Wasp as her body runs the risk of dissipating in the other dimension that it's currently being kept in. And then obviously Vale sympathizes with that because that is the ultimate fate that awaits her unless they can cure her and undo her powers. She can turn into gas, and her body is eventually going to lose its cohesion, and she's going to dissipate and die if they can't cure her. So it's kind of a last hurrah for Vale. But it's like, whereas in this issue, Hazmat wants to send a message to the villains. Stryker is really about making them seem like tough ass kickers, but Vale approaches it from a position just emotionally that she can't let the Hood get away with what he did. And so the three of them go and they track down the Hood. This occurs in between the Hood's... Well, this issue explains how the Hood escaped from jail to set up the current arc that's going on over in Avengers, where he's looking to try and gather the Infinity Gems. It turns out that he had was it an imposter was in jail? I've already forgotten.
He was probably some guy just wearing a hood, right?
Had to do the job.
Nice one.
Oh yes, Finesse looks at it. Finesse is able to just look at the video footage of him in his cell and tell that it's not really the Hood. His facial muscles don't move the right way. Somebody has had plastic surgery. So the Hood's really he's at his lowest point whenever these three guys bust into his apartment, beat the living hell out of him, and they film it. And then, the Hood's accomplice, John, what's his name? John? I can never remember that guy's. John, yes. Scares them off. With a gun that he's gone off to buy from Hydra, which is the gun, it's the stick weapon that the Hood uses in the first issue of his role in Avengers recently. So this is really this is the impetus for the Hood to go off and really decide to get the Infinity Gems to get power back. If a bunch of kids could beat him, So this may come back around in some sense, but Tigra then appears on television announcing. She doesn't try to hide it. She announces public to the world about the tape and everything that happened. And the message here basically is, it's easy to try and be the bigger person and try and tough these things out on your own, but that everybody needs help sometimes. There's a touch of after school special about it.
Lovely.
There's a little touch of it. But then once she's finished making her speech and they finish watching it on television, Stryker shows the video that they've made of them beating up the Hood, and Tigra just loses her shit utterly. And she expels them from the academy for what they've done.
Ooh.
This is the true stride that they have made. Their complete inability to understand the nature of what being a hero and being the bigger man and doing the better thing has... it's not entirely clear. She just sort of seems to be pointing at Stryker, but it seems like all three of the guys what done it are out on their ears. And it's holy crap. It just seemed like it was going to be a nice, contented issue with a moral to it. And then the stinger arrives at the end, and it's like, yikes. And it just really, really reminds you that these guys are truly screwed up, and any of them really, I still can't really see Vale doing it, but they're just very slowly, very gradually building Vale up in these little ways. I don't know what's going to happen with that character. It's always the ones you least expect, I suppose. But... any one of it's just the complete sociopathic inability to understand the difference between doing right and doing wrong these characters have that is what drives this book forward, and this is one of the ultimate examples of it. I think the great thing about it is the fact that it wasn't finesse, really, because she is an actual sociopath. She cannot read emotions. She is incapable of doing that, and the fact that she wasn't one of the ones. That's the real twist. She wasn't one of the ones who went ahead with this because she couldn't emotionally relate to Tigra's position or to any of the anger that the other characters were feeling, so she decided not to get involved because she didn't see the point in it. That's the sort of mad bitch we're talking about.
Wow.
Yeah, and so, if I haven't said enough good things to convince you about picking up Avengers Academy, the Taskmaster's in the next issue.
Ooh. Well, there you go. You got to buy that.
So you've got Crazy Woman and Taskmaster. What more do you need in a comic book, really?
Well, how about that crazy woman potentially being related to the Taskmaster? Because that's the
Wow.
You know what I was hoping? Okay, so they've all been expelled from Avengers Academy. Maybe he starts up the Taskmaster Academy. Oh my God! Make it happen.
Well, it's been the point that's been made. I think everybody who knew what's what in the first issue noticed the similarity between Finesse's powers and the Taskmaster's powers. And it's been touched on very briefly, the vague possibility that he could be her father. So that is what is getting addressed in some way next issue. It's Finesse versus Taskmaster there on the cover. And apparently it is going to involve the new interpretation of the way the Taskmaster's mind works as seen in Fred Van Lint's miniseries.
Which was excellent. You should pick up when it comes out in trade.
Taskmaster. Don't worry, we'll tell you when the trade comes out.
we will be hardcore whoring that out once it comes out.
I feel like I need to read that, so you'll probably need to remind me.
Yep.
No, definitely. Don't worry. So yeah, Avengers Academy continues to be a well-strung book with just the way the characters keep shifting. And this is the thing, is simply that with such a tenuous hook, it's like, how really do you hang a book on that concept without going fully one way or another with it? You know, you really need to make your audience believe that these characters could truly go into the dark side, and this issue really, and this issue and others, but this one particularly, so this issue offers some rather unexpected perspectives, what we say. And on the graphic novel front, very briefly this week, because I've been doing very, very badly with my graphic novels, because I can't, video games I'm trying to play, I'm trying to read some prose novels as well, I'm trying to do other stuff, and I'm doing
Jeez, your social life is in the way of everything.
Oh,
Gosh,
totally.
wow. That sucks. Have a
week,
social life.
Today I managed to read Penny Arcade Volume 6. That is the paperback collections they've been putting out of Penny Arcade, the online, the webcomic. And I really enjoy Penny Arcade, which is probably evidenced by the fact that I'm spending money on the paperback collections. But, you know, the one thing I'll always just say about Penny Arcade, and this is just really why I'm mentioning this, is I always think it's a really poor reflection on me. So I can read Penny Arcade, and I know that there's a lot of clever satire and deconstruction of the video game industry and the tropes of video games in here, but the ones that make me laugh the hardest are the poo jokes.
I like Winnie the Pooh also, so yeah, I'd probably laugh.
You know, you'd just be sitting there at like 1 o'clock in the morning and just reading a few before I was going to bed, and I laughed so hard I'm surprised I didn't wake the rest of the house up because somebody wrote a 3-panel comic about a particularly foul poop that occurred. I just really think it's a very poor reflection on me. If you ever want to make me laugh, fart joke.
Oh, wow.
I like to think
Got plenty of those.
Humor threshold is fairly high, you know. I don't just laugh at anything, but a good fart joke. You know, that'll get me.
Well,
So,
speaking of farting, that's not a segue at all. So, Brightest Day 18. Now, we've continued to talk about this run because it's the big-ish sort of thing that's going on in DC.
It would be fair to say that sometimes we have wondered why we've bothered to talk about it at some points.
And
Because sometimes nothing happens in it.
this issue, I think, is establishing a pattern where we have an amazing issue followed by, like, 3 meh. And then we have it that's like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing, I can't believe they did that. And then 3 issues of, oh, well, that was sort of, oh, okay. Oh. And then, oh my god! Well, this week is, oh my god!
So what you're saying is I canceled my subscription to this issue too late.
It's a, you know.
I canceled my subscription on 17.
Yeah, you've got to have all of this. So, again, as we are in the multi-part...
I would have said if you'd gone as far as 17, you might as well stick it out to the end.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll probably just add to it this week when I
There'll be plenty on the shelf, don't worry. So, the story opens up carrying over from the Rogues being really pissed off that Captain Boomerang released Reverse Flash. And
as seen in last month's Flash, folks. No footnotes to tell you that fact.
No, but it does, just mention it. Which I kind of thought was interesting because Captain Cold's point was that, you know, Digger kind of did it because he felt like he was an outcast and he wanted to know if anything he did mattered. And Captain Cold's point was like, dude, nothing matters. You make your own destiny, that you're a rogue. That's why you matter. You know, why do you even care what some guy from the future thinks about you? This is all that matters. This time now, what you
Blue
do.
collar mentality.
Yeah, awesome stuff. I actually really liked that approach.
It's also one of the very rare moments where Brightest Day has acted like, I don't know, an ill-informed comparison, but a bit more like Countdown, where it actually reflected the things that were going on in the universe around it. Like, I think that's maybe happened once before.
Yeah.
You know, when it's like,
Yeah.
Green Arrow lives in a forest now. It was basically the only
Yeah, there's
time
like that one reference to that.
that they actually touched upon anything else that's going on around them.
So then we get back to stuff that actually happened in the last issue, where Boston's White Ring is now charging back up. And, of course, he calls Dove in a panic because apparently now he's a tool. Sleeps with a girl one time, and, you know, now he's attached to the hip. But whatever.
He's dead, man. He's been dead for a while.
He's a live man.
He's a live man now.
So then there's like this odd like 3-panel flash of stuff, or 2-panel
Other
flash.
stuff that's going on. That's not
Yeah,
in-
Mira talking to someone that I probably should know but don't know who that is, or maybe I'm okay because I don't know who that is.
I don't know.
And then Deathstorm with his avatars of the dead heroes giving the lantern to somebody, which
That's the old Aqua girl. That Lorena is the old Aqua.
okay, there
Just
you go.
Google it quickly.
And which I gotta base it on the surroundings and things we've seen before. It's probably got to be the Anti-Monitor, but I don't know that, so
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming, but I was hoping it was something more interesting.
it
I was
would be nice if it was something more interesting. But I think that's the go-to now. We will never, thanks to Crisis on Infinite Earths, we will never be rid of the Anti-Monitor.
we already have a monitor in this series so far.
Yeah, well, he was in the last 3 of the last 5 events.
Yeah, well, a live man punched him in like the 3rd issue of this. So.
So,
Yeah.
But the ring just keeps charging back up, and Deadman makes a comment that he doesn't think it's going to be him that dies today, which leads us into the Hawkman Hawkgirl story. We'd left them behind for a couple of issues.
Thank God, said wait.
Yep, I'm pretty excited about that because
I'm sensing you're not a fan.
it's
It's
just
not a fan. It's just that this particular
Yeah.
story has been.
I
largely
like
messy.
Hawkman and Hawkgirl. I want good stories with them. It's just they've not been doing a very good job with them in Brightest Day.
yeah. So of course, the last time we left, Hawkgirl's mother had been possessed by the Predator. She immediately starts whooping their asses. There's, of course, the large battle between all the sort of Hawk people going on. And Carol and Hawkman and Hawkgirl go to take her on. They end up... A large battle ensues. I won't go panel by panel, but they do end up with... Hawkgirl ends up with the Sapphire Sword, I guess that is.
I guess.
And they basically use that in combination with the gauntlet to expel the Predator and release all of the sort of undead-ish ghosts or skeletons that make up the
all the
Waygate.
bones of their dead body. Well, those are all the bones of their dead bodies from all their reincarnations.
Right.
They come back to life and drag Hawkgirl's mom away into oblivion.
Yes.
God, that was messed up.
It was pretty messed up, but she was. I mean,
Take her. Take her.
Take her.
It's been right on in by Brightest Day now, hasn't it? That she was responsible for getting Hath set to inflict them with the curse.
Yes, yeah, she
Yeah.
like
That's definite.
set the course to initiate the curse. But
I mean, it's like, I don't even remember. I don't think I even really got it when it was happening. Exactly what the point of Hawk World was.
yeah, I don't know that they, other than the metal,
If
there was
there's-
something
there's
about
a
that was
between world
connected.
between Thanagar and Earth.
Yeah, and that was
Is the implication here that Thanagarians are weird, nasty hawk human crossbreeds? What am I? What is,
yeah.
Yes.
And it sort of felt
Yeah.
like a Stargate, like almost sort of.
yeah, it was very Stargatey.
It's very pseudo Stargate sort of story, which was kind of weird. But But then, of course, I don't remember what their exact mission was, but
No,
essentially,
neither do I. That's the thing.
and I'm gonna have to go dig that issue out because I can't remember what their mission was. But apparently, their mission is accomplished and their life is returned. So yay for them. And Carol, they have a conversation about the gauntlet, and that Carol's still trying to figure out the love thing, and basically portals them back to Earth because apparently for some reason her ring can teleport things.
Hawkman had to close the dimensional gateway between Hawkworld and Earth, and Hawkgirl had to prevent Half-Set from killing Hawkman. That was their mission.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. So that worked out. So they did that, and then their life is returned. Dove hauls balls to try to get to Boston in our other story, and as soon as she gets there, he the white ring ports him the hell out. Then we have this beautiful...
Gets up to 100%.
Yeah, it gets up to full power on his ring. So then there's this beautiful sequence where Hawkman and Hawkgirl are finally free of the curse, and they don't have to worry that they're going to be killed as soon as they fall in love again, and that they, now can be together.
It's that happy ending, and then it's gut-wrenchingly torn from them.
They start ripping clothes off, and they're ready to go, and then a live man shows up.
Yeah.
Powered and controlled by the white ring at this point.
Yeah.
He's not even controlling his actions at this point.
This ring is a douche. Seriously.
Yeah. So the ring is basically like, hey, it's so great for you kids that you're free of the curse, except you really need to do some other stuff, and in order to do that, you're going to have to be separated. And they're like, fuck you, we just spent all of this trouble plus thousands of years being separated. We're going to do our own damn thing, and we don't care. And the ring's like, no, really, you're going to do this. And they're like, we would rather be dead than be separated. And they're like, okay, cool. So, over an amazing, page and a half sequence, the white light disintegrates them.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Nice.
And you're left with this beautiful full-page panel with a live man just completely distressed as
That's
he
an
sifts
awesome
through the
drawing,
dust
too.
of
It is.
Hawkman and Hawkgirl.
Oh my God,
it is a beautiful page.
He looks so upset. I mean, that's a fantastic drawing, too. I mean, he's shocked.
Which is behind this?
I don't know.
Credit the individual guys. They just Ivan Rice, Arden Seoff, Scott Clark, and Joe Prado drew this issue, but I don't know who drew
I
what.
don't know who this panel was, this page, but man, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean,
Looks like Ivan Rice, but
it captures the moment, it captures the feeling, it's just it's the complete, carpet pulled from underneath you, because you're just like, well, this is it. They're finally gonna get their happy ending. No, they don't. No. And like you said, the white light is just a complete dick.
So is the white light the freaking villain? What in the hell's going on?
That's what we
no,
don't
just
know.
when you think you're actually starting to grasp what's happening in this thing. We were like, we were last issue. Oh, turns out, I guess that means, Boston's gonna be the
He's gonna be the champion.
Yeah. But and it's like, oh wait, no, we did killing folks.
Yeah.
So he's a pawn of something evil. It's what it's gotta be.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Well, none of those emotional entities ever seem to be good news.
No.
But wow. I mean,
it's just because as emotional entities, they're so just massively blinkered, they can only see up to a certain horizon,
Mm-hmm.
So wait, how many more issues do they have in this series? Is it 3?
I think it's 4, right?
Are they?
Another
This?
Oh wait.
Another 8? Okay, because I was thinking if it's only 3 or 4, I'm like, do you think they could resolve this whole new revelation within that time?
Well, I mean, this will eventually. I mean, this is once this. I mean, it'll end. I mean, this is all going to culminate in a single event, I would assume.
Hopefully.
So are we at the point where we're done with those little issues that mean nothing, and from now on everything's going to be just driving?
I'm not gonna bet that, because what happened? I mean, the last time we kind of said something to that effect. Okay, now the story's picking up, and then we had 3 issues of nothing. Now I will say that the tag for the next issue is the Aqua War.
Oh,
and
bring that up.
Well, but if we remember the tease from Flashpoint mentioned something about Aquaman and Wonder Woman getting married. So
that's parallel universe.
Is that going to come out later? I don't know. Anyway,
that'd be parallel universe. Shit.
Is it? I don't know. Is it going to happen?
Oh, totally. That's got to be what Flashpoint is about.
Where are we in the multiverse? I don't know.
It's looking very much like Flashpoint is going to involve like some kind of be a kind of Age of Apocalypse style thing. Yeah. Word leaked this week about a book coming out called Secret 7.
Really?
Which is going to be drawn by George Perez.
Ooh.
Ooh, indeed. So if that is what Secret 6 is turning into, for 4 months or whatever during Flashpoint, we're going to get Gail Simone writing the Secret 7 drawn by George Perez.
Hell yes.
Hell yes.
Yeah.
But of course it might not be.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw somebody speculate that maybe that's just what Justice League will become that month. It's all a bit of a mystery right now. We don't know much about Flashpoint, but signs are pointing towards some kind of Age of Apocalypse style thing where the DC books are going to get renamed for a couple of months and be different things.
Yeah. So
very good.
So that's going to come after Brightest. I mean, we still got 4 months left to Brightest Day. Flashpoint is going to kick off till this is over.
Yeah. So it would be interesting though. We'll see where that one.
Given though that we know Flashpoint is the next big thing, one would assume that Brightest Day's story will wrap up in Brightest Day and not be the jumping off point for another event.
Right. Yeah, that'll probably.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, there you go. That's
I'll
it.
place on another All Hail Megatron where you have to do a coda to explain the story. I'm sorry.
No.
Did I push some buttons there?
Yeah.
Relive the nightmare.
Yeah.
52 is how you do that sort of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yes.
Yep. So there you go. That's it. That's Fanboy Versus. Great show. Nicole, thank you so much for being on.
Sorry, it wasn't that interesting, but
No, you were great. We loved having you. It's great.
I love talking comic books, and you guys, damn you for making me want to put more on my list, though.
That's how we roll. We'll have to have you on again sometime. So, and your show is the Random Fandom. It's what's the website? Is it same?
It's just at thenerdsphere.blogspot.com. You can find all the information there.
Excellent.
Along with some other podcasts,
So yeah, so if you check it, obviously you want to check that out. If you check this show out.
Yeah, we talk about much anything, hence the name.
Just random fan
we talk
stuff.
about the news of entertainment. So.
Real quick, I'll mention because of course we have to get out of here because Steelers.
Steelers.
I know. But real quick, I do want to mention there is a new podcast that is showing up on the TF Radio Network. It is, as I pull it up here, I can't remember the name. Someone in the chat is going to say the name before I pull it up here, but I do want to make sure I give it credit. It stars Amy and I can't screen name I can't pronounce at the moment because I'm not looking at it. But it's 2099. It's in the 2099 bitmapped, 2099 bitmapped. It's David Ellis and Amy Morgan. So it's Amy, of course, from RC and Lady Wreck. Everybody knows Amy. So they're talking 2099 universe, Marvel 2099 universe. So.
Definitely an area of expertise that we do not share over here on Fanboy Versus.
Yeah, I do have to say my shopkeep was really cool because we started talking Spider-Man 2099 and he gave me like 10 issues of the beginning of the Spider-Man 2099 run for free, mainly because they're worthless.
That's what I always
No, I mean they're good stuff, but the comics themselves do not have value.
They're worth a fortune to me in my heart.
Well, and that's what matters, right? But on paper, they're not worth anything. So he was glad to, I'm sure, unload me for free just to take up, get the space out. But so anyway, so I haven't got to check the show out yet, but I've heard good things. So check that out. Again, you can get to that at tfradio.net, and it's posted on the main page over there. We also want to thank CNI Comic News International. They are posting our show over there. You can check them out for current comic news and information. and we do appreciate them posting our show as well. So that's it. So thanks, guys. Thanks, Nicole, again for
Thanks for
joining
having me. I had a lot of fun. I love talking comics with you guys.
We'll definitely have you on again. But hey, please tune in next time when it'll be Fanboy Versus.
This has been Fanboy Versus with your hosts, J.D. Church, Chris McFeely, and Chris Triplett. Visit us at tfradio.net for show notes and to subscribe to the podcast. Follow us on Twitter at tfradio for news and updates. Like the podcast? Leave us feedback on iTunes. Copyright 2010 Radio Free Cybertron. This has